Oh, ho, ho. Oh, hello, hello, hello.
And a moderate who... Socialism! Two socialists and a moderate who calls himself a liberal Zionist won their Democratic primary. The world is ending!
Our candidate was perfect. She was 72. She was good on Israel. She had a bright future ahead of her.
Harris, Schlossberg, 2028. We can't lose. No, Ezra loves it.
You don't win elections by appealing to the material needs of voters. You win elections by being moderately transphobic.
Abolish ICE. Reform ICE. Yeah?
So instead of calling it a genocide, just say, I sometimes disagree with Benjamin Netanyahu. You're welcome. Kamala lost the election because of those pro-Palestine people.
Aren't they like a huge voting bloc, though? Shouldn't we cozy up to them? They could swing an election.
We don't negotiate with terrorists. The only people we meet in the middle are the far right. Yeah. Everyone needs to get excited about Gavin Newsom.
Picture this. Pete and Chasten Buttigieg on the Lockheed Martin Pride float next year at Pride.
When I say change, you say eventually. Change!
Eventually!
Change!
Eventually! I don't understand. We bought ads on cable television. You know who watches cable television? Everyone!
Do you ever think we might be a little out of touch?
Now that's what I call an epic meme. Hasan slop.
Kick streamer Speaking of weirdos, Kick streamer Destiny is now instructing his audience to harass any journalist or content creator who collaborates with Hasan and claims someone is going to die very soon. Somebody's going to die soon in this space, I'm pretty sure, he said. I'm not sure who, but I think it will happen soon. There's literally nowhere else to go at this point. Somebody's going to die soon in this space, I'm pretty sure. Just as a heads up, I am going to be doing some mass harassment campaigns on every single journalist who gives this guy free interviews from now on. In a deranged rant, Destiny praises Asmongold and XQC for having integrity while crying over Pokimane and Philip DeFranco for staying friends with Hasan. Now, what's really interesting about this is, of course, one, the classic case of projection where he will turn around and say Hasan is doing the things that, you know, he's actually doing. Point me to the next journalist that gives him a softball interview and I will dedicate my entire fan base and weeks of my time to emailing, tweeting, spamming this person off the internet. Actually, I'm sick and tired of people like Hasan the Hun getting a free pass by Twitch and DJ Clancy to openly dox and infinitely harass every single person online that they deem to be unworthy or inferior to them. Every single person who continues to platform's creepy fuck with zero pushback is responsible for him and the disgusting cultish fan base of freaks and abusers that he openly supports and gives credit to. I feel like he's just yelling at a mirror. It's kind of surreal.
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
The paragraph openly admitting that he is going to continue doing something that he's been doing already. And then in the second half of the paragraph says, I'm doing that. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not actually doing that.
Have you considered, though? I know you are, but what am I?
Also, fuck every single streamer who collaborates with this abusive piece of shit who's too fucking scared or too obsessed with their own clout to ever call him out for it. Besides at XUC and at Asmongold, I'm not sure I've seen a single other creator in the space who has the actual integrity to say literally anything about him. It's just infinite capitulation for people like Pokimane lol. Oops, that was our employee who wrote that whole statement and canceled that episode. Lol. At Ludwig Ogren, we're just coworkers, guys. Lol. Philly D, got to make sure to email Hasan and get his side of the story before I publish. Ah ha 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 ha, etc. 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 It's gross how complacent the whole.
Why is this normal laugh? Why does it sound like the AI laugh?
Broke boy. Ah ha ha ha.
Space is with this disgusting freak. Yeah, you definitely sound normal with this rant. You know, I definitely come across as like...
Just so you know, there's a lot of these people will follow me for like, the reason why I will be doing this, and I will follow through on this. There are a lot of people that will retweet me and then follow me, and then they'll unfollow me after like a day because they end up getting harassed by people like Hasan so much. He did it before in the past. The Shannon person, I think, followed me for all of like a couple hours until they started getting spam tweeted at that I'm like a rapist, pedophile or whatever. And here he tries to do it again. So I am going to do this. I'm just doing what Hasan does. I'm just open and honest about it, whereas Hasan lies about it, right? So she's tweeting at... Al-Sayed isn't just associated with Hasan Piker. He's inviting him to his rallies. He's also campaigning, blah, 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 4 hours ago. And then Hasan, you retweeted Destiny, though. Like, what?
the deranged person here, I think. Also, he's just mad at Philip DeFranco for asking for my side, which is like normal, asking for a comment. And it's all just advancing their own personal narcissistic desires. It's a way to like galvanize their audiences.
Is that what he does? Like, is it all just personal narcissism? There's no way, right?
That their audiences are on board, that their audiences are doing something. Do you think Pokey, Ludwig, or Philip will respond? Fuck no. Are you crazy? You think these guys don't know what?
Fuck no. I've already messaged all of them and warned them ahead of time that they're not allowed to say anything publicly at all, or else I'm going to burn them hard and my whole audience is going to come down on them and harass the fuck out of them.
Both Asmongold and Destiny's audiences do. Why the fuck do you think they're so quiet whenever these guys do?
Does the DeFranco guy ask everybody for comment? Fuck no.
Insane shit. Their whole, dude. It's ironic because Destiny will constantly talk about like how I'm bullying people. Every single content creator in this space knows exactly how Asmongold operates, knows exactly how Aiden Ross operates, knows exactly how Destiny operates.
How fucking desperate? I don't even know. I maybe just because I don't follow like his lies as much, but why is he so desperate to pair me and Asmongold with Aiden Ross? What does Aiden even do now? I feel like I haven't heard about him in 6 months. I'm not trying to talk shit or I just feel like, what?
You good?
Of course.
I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't even know.
They literally never
because he's Jewish? I don't
talk
know.
about these people for that reason. Not because they like agree with them politically or whatever. It's because they're just like fucking terrified of being on the receiving end of, a 7-year smear campaign that I have experienced.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Everybody else sees the fucking harassment that I receive and they don't want any part of it. And why should they? I do understand why people would shy away from it. Destiny explains why he thinks Hasan always loses to Asmongold in their verbal spats on Twitch, especially in this format. Asmongold will always win because Asmongold can engage with the facts more honestly. Hasan is having to fight Asmongold on like 2 or 3 different levels here. I like that Destiny is saying Asmongold will always defeat Hasan because I agree with him that Muslims are an inferior people.
That's what I said? Does he even watch the clip? What? That is actually true. That is true, yes. 100%. I think I did say that. I think verbatim in that clip. I didn't mean to. Normally I try to keep my bigotry like really hidden, but I think it was right after. I was like, yeah, I think Muslims are all inferior humans, and I think Asmon agrees too. That's why he's always going to win. And then I fucked up. I tried to get rid of it, but he must have caught the VOD. Fuck.
To the superior Westerners, and it's like, and he's supposed to be this liberal guy.
Ooh, I like that little slip there. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but Muslims are inferior to the superior Westerners. It's not even Muslim versus like Christian or Muslim versus Judeo-Christian or whatever. That doesn't make as much sense. But like, it's Muslims versus Westerners. Like, there's no Western style Muslims. What does he consider Saudi Arabia? What does he consider Muslims in the U.S.? That's a funny thing, whatever. But it's all campism in his brain, right? The West is like the enemy, and anything versus the West is good.
Very strange behavior overall. Don't understand it. I feel like there are way more productive things to do. But even like he designed like a whole ground game group, right? DGG. What is it? Digital ground game. And the entire thing, the entire like supposed door knocking operation, canvassing operation is dedicated to shit posting online against Destiny's enemies and like begging them to kill.
It's funny that he's trying to do the same thing now with the digital ground game guys as he tried to do with Progressive Victory. Or I guess he did do it. Anything that I'm associated with has to be nuked. If, man, I hope the digital ground game guys are careful about whatever gets posted to FEC filings, because he's going to be reading out whatever addresses and everything. And you know that the pedophile pervert fuck Dan Clancy is also going to be covering Hasan's ass for every fucking doxing, harassing campaign that he does on Twitch too, which is super sick, actually, to be friends with the CEO who will literally cover for every fucking thing you do. I mean, that's fucking Kino. I'll give Hasan credit for that. Fucking loser. What a fat fucking disgusting fucking piece of shit. I'm just kidding, actually. I don't even know if sorry, when I said what a fucking disgusting fat fucking piece of shit, I was talking about the disgusting fat piece of shit Dan Clancy, not the disgusting fat piece of shit Hasan Piker. Sorry. I don't even know if Dan has time to cover Hasan's individual campaigns though, because I know he's too busy scrolling all the little girls on fucking Twitch or whatever that shows up on his phone every time he opens it to show up a new Twitch feature.
Themselves or begging them to debate Destiny and like try to fucking carve out relevance for Destiny. It's like so strange. Can you imagine if I was like redirecting the Democratic Socialists of America to fight against Destiny all the time? If I was like, hey, can we get some DSA accounts to like constantly tweet about Destiny? That would be fucking insane, right?
Which is funny because he does do this exactly with all the snarker people. That's his crew for this. This is like a good, not that I would ever do this, but this is like a decently effective like gaslighting tactic. Whenever you've been caught doing some like don't ever do this. This is for educational purposes only. Don't ever do this. But like, if you've ever been caught doing some like pretty fuck shit, but you're pretty smart, and like what you did was like so fucking retarded, and you've got like a friend or a girlfriend or whatever trying to call you out on it, to just like state the thing itself. Be like, okay, hold on. You seriously think I would be so fucking stupid that I would steal like all the money from your counter and then buy a thing that you would literally see sitting on my desk? That you really think I would do something that fucking stupid? Seriously? It's like a good gaslighting tactic, right? Because that is pretty fucking dumb. Like, really? It can work. It can work, okay? But he just does that. That's his whole MO.
And no one would do that anyway.
Oh, true.
That would be an insane thing. It's like, be a fucking adult. The fuck's wrong with you?
Be an adult. I also like how he's become like, I wish I could know the path sometimes that these people take behind the scenes. Like the kind of man-child. He's like, okay, well, I need to wear a suit because the suit is what you wear to look professional. I'm guessing because some of the campaigns that he was working with were telling him like, bro, this shit is cringe as fuck. Like, you can't show up in $20,000 outfits that also look like shit. Okay, this is retarded. So he's like, okay, I'll buy suits from now on. But also there's giant like diaper fetish pictures of me and like random assortments of things in the background of my Gamer Boy stream. It's just fucking retarded. But Putin wanted us to listen to this. Can I not? Hold on.
Would you like a bowl of Mars? Huh? The perfect blend of sweet.
Deck is all clear. Rope's good. Go.
Is the son of a diaper fetish? No, my guess is somebody made it for him or something. I think the suit thing is because of criticism from fashion TikTok of having absolutely zero bona fides, and since that's the only people he actually cares about the opinion of. Now he's sweating through suits on the daily. Oh, maybe.
How many would you like? Wait, but is that sweet? Spicy.
I'm Carla Lolly, cookbook author and snack enthusiast.
Really? Really? That's her name?
I'm Carla Lolly, cookbook author and snack enthusiast. Do you have a sweet tooth? Check out Sweets Unwrapped, a podcast from Ferrero and Atlantic Rethink, the Atlantic's creative marketing studio. Together, we're celebrating the traditions that make life sweet. Tune in now.
You're listening to There's Nothing Democratic About These Socialists by Jonathan Chait, published on the 1st of July, 2026. This audio article was produced by 11 Labs and NOAA, News Over Audio, using an AI voice. You can listen to more of the world's best journalism on the NOAA app or at newsoveraudio.com.
He is the Atlantic
The general
Jarvis.
idea that Democratic Party loyalists seem to have about members of the Democratic Socialists of America is that they're a lot like Democrats, but perhaps a bit more passionate. Voters in New York City are not afraid of the term democratic socialism, Joy Behar recently said on The View to Applause. Social Security is democratic socialism. Partly, unemployment insurance is. The people who pick up your garbage, the people who take the fire out at your house, all of these things are democratic socialism. It's true that the DSA has areas of ideological overlap with the Democratic Party, and would at least directionally support classic Democratic policies such as a higher minimum wage, defending social spending, and opposing the Trump administration. But the DSA's version of democratic socialism goes far beyond routine public functions such as garbage collection and Social Security, which most Republicans, not to mention Democrats, support, or even aspirational policies such as Medicare for all. The DSA, in fact, seems to despise the Democratic Party. Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier has called Joe Biden a rapist and wrote "fuck Kamala Harris" on social media. She proceeded to be nominated for a state house race in New York last week by Democratic voters who presumably do not all share those feelings. The DSA now includes a growing caucus of supporters in Congress, has mayoral candidates well positioned to win in several big cities, and has plans to throw its weight behind a yet-to-be-determined presidential candidate in 2028. The DSA's feelings about Democrats encompass not only the party's leadership but also the philosophical commitments that have guided it since the New Deal. A mixed economy undergirded by democratic values. Chevalier, for instance, joined a post-October 7th celebratory rally and portrayed Russia's invasion of Ukraine as a defensive response to Western bullying. She previously called for seizing land and the means of production and has repeatedly praised communism. These positions are not holdovers from the idealism of youth or a bygone woke era. They are a byproduct of the DSA's core ideology. The DSA has become a force in Democratic Party politics even as it has grown more hostile to the party, more illiberal, and more dogmatic. A tragic irony of history is that the Democratic Socialists of America was formed in opposition to the very thing it has become. The writer and activist Michael Harrington helped found the DSA in 1982. His goal was to build a socialist movement that would eventually pull the Democratic Party toward more humane domestic and foreign policies. He believed that a commitment to freedom of speech, elections, and other democratic norms was an absolute requirement for any socialist organization. And generations of bitter experience taught Harrington and his allies that socialist organizations had failed because they allowed communists to infiltrate them and take control of their organizing structures. Its founding bylaws accordingly permitted the expulsion of members who were under the discipline of any self-defined democratic centralist organization, a slightly jargonish way of describing communists. A decade ago, the excitement generated by the Bernie Sanders presidential campaign on the left and the frightening rise of Donald Trump spurred an influx of tens of thousands of young members. Some of the new recruits were Marxist-Leninist organizers who saw the DSA's growing membership as fertile ground. Sectarian conflict broke out among rival factions vying to steer the group's suddenly growing membership. In 2018, some of the DSA's older activists formed the North Star Caucus, an internal group to defend Harrington's anti-authoritarian principles from its newer authoritarian-minded entrants. Principles of liberty and equality are indispensable to the self-government of a free people, the new caucus proclaimed. Denial of them renders a government a tyranny. While authoritarians on the left dismiss this foundation of democracy as bourgeois, we defend it. The North Star Socialists grasped that the organization was in danger of surrendering its commitment to democratic principles. In 2021, 8 founding DSA members similarly warned that far-left factions were attempting to gain control of the group. The communist influx threw open the question of whether the DSA would support authoritarian parties and states around the world. Communist organizers, as Harrington feared, began to reshape the DSA as an ally of any anti-Western force, even the most murderous and oppressive. After Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the DSA opposed the invasion but blamed it on the expansion of NATO and the aggressive approach of Western nations, and opposed any military aid to allow Ukraine to defend itself. The breakpoint occurred after October 7, 2023. Many pro-Palestine student activist groups endorsed the Hamas attack.
I want to join. I just want to go. I need to do 23andMe, okay? I needed some Ukrainian blood. I just want to go to that place. I feel like we had an actor president in the United States of America, and it was Donald Trump. And it was just like an actor who tried to convince the world that he was a real businessman, ends up convincing America he's a real businessman, and then becomes the president, and then we find out that he sucks shit at everything. And then you had like an actor who was like a goofball Ukrainian dude who becomes the president, and then you got to admit that for everything that's happened, like the story of Ukraine has been pretty unbelievable, right? That, I mean, everybody thought they would lose that war in 2 weeks. And then everybody thought that they would slowly lose the war over the next couple years. And then as of today, Ukraine is on like the cutting edge front of like, and not just like cutting edge in terms of like we got guys that we can go and just fucking die, and send a whole bunch of people to get mowed down by machine guns, but like on a technologically sophisticated and then like combined use of force doctrine shit on battlefields all across Ukraine. I don't know. It's pretty insane the story of that war, given the starting position of Ukraine, which was atrocious, and then given the starting position of Russia, which wasn't that great. But I don't know. It's literally everything about that has been pretty unbelievable.
Attacks, and the DSA's international committee, as well as multiple local chapters, followed suit. On the day after the attacks, the New York City chapter of the DSA affirmed the Palestinian right to resist and joined a rally to celebrate them. The DSA's posture toward terrorism, which ranged from equivocation to outright support, drove away many of the organization's remaining advocates of liberal democracy. 24 prominent Old Line members announced their resignation the next month, conceding that today's DSA has driven itself beyond redemption and had become entirely wanting in its dedication to the moral principles that are the foundation of democratic socialism. Militant anti-Zionism became a wedge that the group's more radical activists used to drive away critics of authoritarianism on the left. In 2025, the group's convention voted to officially remove its founding language, allowing for the expulsion of members who worked for
Why were there even protests immediately after October 7th? There were no protests immediately after October 7th. There were just Hamas rallies to like cheer on the attacks. Is it?
communist cells, and added a provision calling the Palestinian right to resistance a central tenet of the DSA. Having dismantled the guardrails that Harrington built to exclude communists, the group established new guardrails to exclude anybody opposed to Israel's destruction. Michael Harrington's DSA is dead, a dispatch from the proceedings gloated. The DSA's Red Star Caucus was formed the year after the North Star Caucus, in an apparent rebuke. It writes that nearly half of the members of the National Political Committee, the DSA's highest leadership body, openly identify as communists. These left-wing factions have realigned the organization in firm opposition to liberal democracy. In 2021, the DSA joined the Sao Paulo Forum, a communist-led international network, a move that would, one DSA member protested at the time, support authoritarian governments who systematically violate the basic tenets of democratic socialism. It proclaimed its solidarity with Venezuela under the dictatorship of Nicolás Maduro and with Cuba under that of the Castro brothers. The DSA now locates its vision of the ideal society in the world's most despotic regimes. The organization is still called Democratic Socialists, of course, but the term does not necessarily mean liberal democracy, as Americans have traditionally defined it. Many socialist thinkers define what they call true democracy as a system in which capitalism has been overturned and the proletarian classes have seized political power through their representative vanguard, that is, them. Totalitarian states, such as the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea and the German Democratic Republic, East Germany, accordingly labeled themselves democratic. This is not, obviously, how the group sells itself to the broader universe of left-leaning, mostly democratic voters it is trying to attract. During the New Deal era, Stalinist organizers pitched themselves as liberals in a hurry. The Progressive Party, which ran Henry Wallace for president in 1948, was secretly run by Communist Party loyalists, but it appealed to standard liberals by touting themes such as civil rights, economic justice, and an end to the Cold War. The DSA employs a similar formula, drawing voters in by denouncing oligarchy and genocide and promising to expand health insurance. Chevalier's campaign, like those of other DSA candidates, has focused on affordability, fighting corporate greed, and similar progressive themes. When she was asked by MS Now if she is a communist, she replied, "I'm not, I'm a democratic socialist," and called questions about her adherence to totalitarian ideologies a distraction. Hasan Piker, who, as one of the DSA's most influential advocates, has campaigned for several of the candidates it has endorsed, said recently at an event, "I wish they'd stop calling me a radical. None of these people," he said, gesturing to the crowd off screen, "are radical. They just want health care. They want to end American militarism. They want to spend money on roads, on infrastructure, on schooling, on healthcare, rather than bombs overseas." Yet Piker himself has followed the DSA's militant line, repeatedly praising authoritarian regimes such as China's, Cuba's, and Russia's as well as terrorist groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah. He has said that his closest existing model for an ideal society is China, which does not have progressive social values or an especially generous welfare state, but does have a communist ruling party. The DSA's long-term strategy is to exploit the Democratic Party's ballot access and reservoir of voters to build its following, and then, after it gains enough power, break off to form its own party, after which the husk of the old Democratic Party would wither and die. This gambit is called the dirty break, a term coined by a 2017 article in the left-wing magazine Jacobin. Not all DSA officials agree on the dirty break. Some still cling to Harrington's vision of pushing the Democrats leftward. Others favor an immediate split into a third party, a clean break. But as Peter Stern, a one-time DSA member who now reports on New York politics, has written, the DSA's current strategy is a dirty break. Gradually build up the necessary party-like infrastructure to eventually break away from the Democrats entirely while still running candidates in Democratic primaries for now. In the meantime, the organization has displayed patience. New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, the movement's most valuable political asset, has moved cautiously in office and avoided dramatic policy changes, building political support that he has spent on backing DSA challenges to mainstream Democrats.
Okay, I will ban, generally, this stupid fucking criticism of like, well, isn't it the Democrats' fault? Okay. However, in New York City, really, guys, I don't know New York City politics that well, I guess, but like, Cuomo? Really? That was it? That was the only person? Really? Really, guys? But I don't know. Maybe there was some really good reason why New York City that had to have been the thing. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Sheesh. What do you think you are? Republicans?
In the face of this threat, the Democratic Party's establishment has wrung its hands. Yet its main concern appears to be that DSA challengers are threatening the jobs of loyal party regulars and dividing the base against itself. Instead of us making sure we put all of our resources to fight Republicans and to fight Donald Trump, we're using it to fight each other. It just doesn't make common sense to me, Representative Gregory Meeks complained to CNN. New York Attorney General Letitia James told CNN, all of us are a little frustrated with the Democratic Party, but you don't blow it up. That's what MAGA has done. DSA supporters see internal division not as a risk, but as a historic opportunity to seize power. As Ross Barkan, a writer and former candidate whose state Senate campaign Mamdani managed in 2018, wrote, the establishment Democrats who revile Mamdani so much should understand 2028 is going to look like 2026. There will be more races to be run, more incumbents to replace. For a century, since successive Red Scares squelched socialism in this country, the left has been in a defensive crouch. Only now can the socialists hit back. The conflict is asymmetrical. One side is concerned with taking control of the Democratic Party, while the other just wants everybody within it to get along. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a DSA member, recently appeared on MS Now, a favorite network for normie liberals, where she blamed Democratic members of Congress for discord with new left-wing nominees. You, she said, addressing her incumbent colleagues, are creating the antagonistic dynamic that we do not need. These are two young, talented, intelligent women that got elected against all odds, against millions of dollars. Perhaps there is something we can learn from them. The norm that AOC is trying to create is a ratchet that pushes the Democratic Party ever leftward. The DSA is permitted to excoriate the party, but non-socialist Democrats cannot respond in kind. Moderate Democrats are permitted to exist, at least for now, but the ideological pressure runs in one direction. At the most
Reminder that there were literally live stream setup of Gaza being bombed on October 8th. You could watch, but yeah, nobody cared about Israeli retaliation. It was all Hamas support. I'm sorry, but if your sympathy on October 8th was immediately with Gaza, you probably just fucking hate Jews. Dude, I don't even like Jews, and I hate the anti-Semitism thing. It's so fucking cringe. But like one of the reasons why anti-Semitism is so cringe is because not only are Jews cringe, so I don't have to fucking defend them, but also like anti-Semites are so fucking cringe. It's like it's the most boring. I feel like anti-Semitism is the most boring form of racism because it lends itself to the most retarded fucking ideas. Like, race realists can at least do this whole, like, you know, DNA, genetic shit, and they can talk about culture and everything else. But the anti-Semitic shit it's so mind-rotting. Holy fuck. Like, I bet that per capita, there have been more intelligent racists throughout all of history than there have been intelligent anti-Semites. Like, I feel like at some points in history, I bet racism is like, unfortunately, a product of the time. Like, you just have people who, oh yeah, slavery and racism and blah, blah, blah. But throughout all of history, anti-Semites are fucking retarded. They're like, I don't understand the world. It must be the Jews doing everything bad. Oh! Like, every single fucking time. It is the most boring, because, like, if you're a racist, let's say you're a plantation owner, okay? You come in and your clothes are not as cottony as you want them to be. Oh, my damn slaves, you know? But that's it. But then let's say your wife is like, why you got a little dick, okay? Why do your kids hate you, all right? Whatever, what's a good Southern plantation owner's name? Claude? I don't know. Fuck you, Claude, right? Well, fuck. You know, I can blame my slaves for my clothes, but that's it. But if he was an anti-Semite, oh, my wife thinks I have a small dick? Why? Because Jews have been showing you BBC porn all day? Oh, my kids hate me? Why? Are they listening to some Jewish school teacher? Every single fucking problem in your life can be blamed on anti-Semitism. When you have anti-Semitism that is rotting your mind, every single bad thing in your life becomes the Jews. Listen to fucking Hasan. Hasan is so deranged on anti-Semitism in Israel, it's almost as big a deal in his life as DGG stalkers. That's how fucking unhinged he is when it comes to this shit. Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Official level, the DSA influx has associated Democrats with a series of kooky beliefs and statements. Although Democratic voters approve of the DSA, voters as a whole do not.
Destiny's funded by Qatar? Please! Foreign country! Influence me and fund me. I'm the only motherfucker in this space that doesn't have some foreign sponsor. I don't know why. I can do propaganda, I promise. Okay, I promise. Contact me. Hit me up in my email, or I'll get a signal thing, and you can contact me there.
A national poll found the group's approval at 21% and 48% disapproved. The same poll had 36% approval of the Democrats. Its specific platform components are, if anything, less popular. The DSA's leadership has approved a platform set to be ratified at its convention next month, calling for abolishing the carceral...
True, dude. We are the Jews of the world. DGG, I mean. Remember when the Jews were blamed for both capitalism and socialism at the exact same time? I feel like this was happening. People said capitalists and Jews and whatever fucking looted the post-Soviet Russia during the... one of the big calling cards against Jews in like the late 20s, 30s Germany was that somehow they were going to help not the Soviets. They were going to help the communists rise up in Germany and take over everything because they were influencing the culture, and the Bohemian culture was taking over, and they were subversive, blah, blah, blah. Like Jews are behind every single fucking problem. Destiny, not a joke question. Do you believe you can be pro-Hamas without being anti-Semitic? I think you can be. I would say that is, in a way, that's almost my position. This is so into you have to know anything about anything to even have this conversation, but like, one of the reasons I don't like calling Hamas a terrorist organization is because Hamas is the government of the Gaza Strip. You can't just call them terrorists. It's the government. Hamas is the government. So you can't just write them off as a terrorist org. And I think that there are legitimate grievances that the people of Gaza have, that the government in Gaza has, that Hamas has, related to the Palestinian Authority and the PLO, related to Israel. Like, you can have that position, but these people don't even know anything about anything. They can't even begin to have this position, right?
Forces of the capitalist state, opening borders,
Thanks, Rise,
moving
WTF.
to public ownership for the largest corporations, establishing a 32-hour work week, and defunding the Pentagon. The DSA's disproportionate strength in New York City, the headquarters of the national media, means that its positions will have outsized weight in the national debate. Republicans will also, obviously, do everything they can to magnify them. The DSA has little incentive to minimize this collateral damage. To the contrary, the smaller the Democratic Party, the more power the DSA wing can wield inside it. And it probably hasn't escaped the movement's attention that it has enjoyed its strongest growth during periods of Republican rule, but that its membership stagnated during the 4-year Biden interregnum.
Whoa.
Under Republican presidencies, the DSA thrives on frustrated Democratic voters feeling that their party's leaders aren't fighting hard enough. During Democratic presidencies, which...
Just to be clear, your position is that on October 8th, people who were worried about Israeli retaliation shouldn't have centered on anything because they could be confused for support for the attacks. I'm saying that if you are having a rally the day after in support of a country that just launched like the largest terrorist attack of all time, there's one of two things happening. Either one, you just hate Jews, okay, which is fine base, okay, or two, you're so fucking retarded and clueless for how that could look that you might as well hate Jews. You are immediately going to be co-opted by people who hate Jews. Immediately, like on day zero, that's an exploit. Your mind is gonna be hijacked because you're so fucking retarded that you don't even understand how fucking stupid it looks. Yeah. I don't even. Yeah. What do you want me to say? I don't. This.
The DSA mostly spends denouncing the occupant of the Oval Office as a sellout. Democratic loyalists have less patience for factional complaints. Perversely, if the DSA's slew of police abolitionist, Hamas-apologizing candidates were to cost Democrats...
Hot take, even if you think Hasan is anti-Semitic, it's literally the worst attack you can do on the balding fuck. He can just get normies to watch clips and frame his haters as lying because the best... Yeah, kind of. So again, the thing is, I'm so glad I got this email a long time ago from that one guy. The way that leftists get at anti-Semitism is very strange. In effect, it plays out the exact same way. No, sorry. It plays out in a worse way than it does with Nazis. Because again, and I firmly believe this, Nazis want the Jews out of America, and they want the Jews to stop influencing America. Lefties want the country of Israel destroyed, okay? So their hatred for Jews goes outside of America. But Nazis get there through their retarded conspiratorialism that Jews are controlling the United States of America. Lefties get there because they are aligned with every opponent to the United States of America, and they are aligned against every friend to the United States of America. So because lefties view Israel as being a Western-friendly, Western-style nation, which it is, they hate it, and so it's like the enemy. But they don't technically have... I don't even think I'm comfortable against him anymore. I was going to say they don't technically have like the anti-Semitic stuff because they really do believe... Actually, never mind. But leftists have every single anti-Semitic belief that Nazis have. You just have to replace Jew with Zionist, and every single thing will map on one-to-one. Because I was going to say they don't technically believe like in the crazy conspiracies to control the country and all that, but they actually do. But they would just say it's Zionist rather than Jewish is what they would say for everything. And then it would be a one-to-one.
It's Congress in 2026 or the presidency in 2028. The group's goal of discrediting and replacing the
I'd say there are definitely also Nazis that want to exterminate Jews, but they're not as public about it. I'm sure there must. I was going to say, did Hitler ever even talk about like going to like the Middle East and finding and killing every Jew? I mean, I know he did in every country he took over, 100%. And I guess maybe if he viewed, I don't know if he thought the Nazi Empire would take over the whole fucking world or whatever. Maybe I'm sure he would have if he wanted to, but. It's so hard to envision, like, what would a Nazi Germany's foreign policy have been, like, across the world? I don't know. Maybe they would have.
Democratic Party's leadership would get easier, not harder. One can easily imagine a feedback loop in which DSA influence makes it harder for Democrats to win back moderate and Republican-leaning voters, causing the party to lose, causing its base to grow more distrustful of the party's leaders, thus making them more likely to nominate DSA candidates. But even to conceive of the DSA's entry to the party as mainly an electoral setback, as some glum liberals appear to be doing, is to miss the deeper significance of the group's influence. The costs of an alliance with the DSA are moral as well as political. The Democratic Party is waging an existential struggle to save democracy, the rule of law, and liberal norms. The DSA's vanguard does not merely believe that its defense has faltered. It holds those values themselves in contempt as resistance wine mom frivolity. What the DSA demands of the Democrats is not merely to advocate more generous social policies or more cautious foreign affairs, but to welcome or at least accept authoritarians as their coalition partners. Democrats are likely to face the same kind of pressure that Republicans confronted with MAGA's hostile takeover. First, to ignore their allies.
People are saying that Hitler had the leader of mandated Palestine in his pocket. Sure, the al-Husseini guy. But I think that was because wasn't al-Husseini also up in Europe, like helping to recruit soldiers for the Nazis? Like it wasn't like Hitler was sending resources abroad, I don't think, to help like al-Husseini in mandatory Palestine. I think it was al-Husseini was going up to Europe to help him do like soldier recruitment and stuff. I could be wrong on that. I think he was in Germany though, right? I'd have to go back and recheck on this in a while.
Sinister goals, and then to rationalize and eventually justify them. As authoritarian elements gain strength, they become more essential to the success of a political coalition, and the price of confronting them rises. The Republican Party has long since passed the point of no return. the easiest time to draw clear moral lines against the encroachment of illiberalism within one's own camp is at the beginning. That was There's Nothing Democratic About These Socialists by Jonathan Chait. This audio article was produced by 11 Labs and NOAA, News Over Audio, using an AI voice. You can listen to more of the world's best journalism on the NOAA app or at newsoveraudio.com.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh, like who?
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Wow. Okay, maybe the Atlantic doesn't have a big operating budget. I do feel kind of bad, though, if you're like a voice actor or a reader. Like, good readers are, I feel like, really important. If you ever listened to audiobooks before, the difference between having, like, a good reader or not, I think is pretty big. It's kind of sad that they don't just, like, hire somebody to read their articles and instead just do the AI voices. Like, even if it was just, like, $200, no? Wouldn't that be nice? Is that really that expensive? I don't know. Dumb question, but how do you distill to audience in simple terms how DSA have ulterior motives that aim to dismantle liberalism? You have to have really educated people having really like nuanced conversations with them. Most of our mainstream media people are not like politically educated in that direction, unfortunately. Uh-oh.
Concession speak. This is fucking paywall, dude. Did this just come out?
Oh, this is the article that we just listened to.
No, brother.
Oh, brother.
I didn't see it. What is this? ICAP? I don't know who this person is. I don't know what what this org is.
Oh wait, what is this?
For decades, the Cuban Institute of Friendship with the People, or ICAP, has been a vehicle for radical left-wing extremism and subversive foreign influence in the United States and across our hemisphere. ICAP is the Cuban regime's premier influence and intelligence front group.
I would pay Hasan. I'm sorry. I would pay Hasan $1,000 to read articles. I just think it'd be very funny to hear a whole article read in this voice.
ICAP is the Cuban regime's premier influence and intelligence front group, exploiting its vast network to spy on Americans, promote anti-Western propaganda, coordinate foreign influence operations, and organize revolutionary leftist movements around the world. Earlier this month, I designated ICAP and several other Cuban organizations responsible for engaging in subversive anti-American activities pursuant to sanctions authorities created by President Trump's Cuba executive order. I don't understand why they're covering this as like the organization that sent Hasan Piker to Cuba.
Uh-oh.
You look so tired. Same suit from last night? No, this is a different suit, but...
You has to make sure you know that.
A Cuban national accused of being a part of a sprawling influence network that brought U.S. political streamer Hasan Piker to Havana has been detained along his family and will be deported. Carlos Antonio Loga Dominguez, who has lived in the U.S. for more than a decade, is...
I actually think that every single time he has the same colored suit on, I think it is the same suit from the last day. He's wearing the same suits over and over again, and I think the reason why is because he ran out of money. I think you can tell because he doesn't ever have like really expensive cufflinks on, and he's missing, yeah, he's definitely missing the big expensive cufflinks and the different colored blazer or jacket every single day. Okay, that's enough for the clip. Let's see if we can get him to get some big cufflinks, and see if we can get him to wear a different color suit every time.
Federal custody pending removal along with his wife and son. Yoga Dominguez spent more than a decade working as a foreign subversive for Havana's premier influence and intelligence front group in the U.S., the department said. President Donald Trump's administration has been steadily increasing pressure on Cuba in hopes of ending nearly 7 decades of one-party rule, in addition to imposing a de facto fuel blockade.
Oh, shit, Drew. Wait, what? Somebody said, I just realized his reading voice is almost like the Valorant accent. President Donald Trump's administration has been steadily increasing pressure on Cuba in hopes of ending nearly 7 decades of one-party rule. In addition to opposing a de facto fuel blockade, Washington has been cracking down on Havana's ability to project soft power, sanctioning ICAP and other solidarity groups last month.
Washington has been cracking down on Havana's ability to project soft power, sanctioning ICAP.
Wait, why did you say that? Why did you say that in chat? Ban that chatter. Fuck! Fuck! Why did you say that? No!
This is the Valorant accent.
Passively playing video games while I sit home and making 6 figures. Don't mind me.
It's how the Valorant player communicates.
Or how I get fucking Immortal 1 Ascendant players in my game.
And a lot of people think it's stupid.
Oh, GG's, dude. So we're just leaving Spike and Spawn? Shut the fuck up!
I don't think it's stupid. Something about the Valorant accent intrigued me. Why do people talk like this? How can I talk like this? Who started this? Why do I even care?
Ability does Havana have to project soft power? It's literally just
it's only when he's reading.
Bad.
It's only when he's reading for
Neither
some reason.
Parker nor ICAP immediately responded to the email request for comment. I did not see an email.
Why?
Founded in 1960, the organization was thrust back into the news in March when it sponsored an international humanitarian aid convoy that delivered 14 tons of aid to the island. Along those participated. Among those participated were Piker, co-pick founder Medea Benjamin, and former UK Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Piker and Benjamin have both been sent administrative subpoenas by the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control in relation to that trip. Fox News reported in May. I have not received a subpoena. Neither Piker nor ICAP immediately responded to the email request for a comment. Co-pick spokesperson confirmed that Benjamin received the OFAC request and said the administration is complying with it.
That's right.
Cuba insists that groups like ICAP are simply advocacy organizations, but in announcing Yoga Dominguez's detention, the State Department called it the central node in a sprawling Cuban intelligence.
Okay, somebody said
is expected. Also, the Atlantic has continued.
Saw the article here.
Not in elected office, and whose families keep them strong and centered.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a basic concession speech. It's expected. Also, the Atlantic has continued New York Mag's tradition of not fact-checking Jonathan Chait's lazy, error-laden column. Chevalier won a primary for Congress, not the State House. He also misspelled my name. This is not his first article he's written about me, by the way, so it's kind of crazy that he's still misspelling my name. Hasan Piker, who is one of DSA's most influential advocates, campaigned for several of the candidates it has endorsed, said recently at an event, "I wish they'd stop calling me a radical. None of these people," he said, gesturing to the crowd off screen, "are radical. They just want healthcare. They want an end to American militarism. They want to spend money on roads, on infrastructure, on schooling, on healthcare, rather than bombs overseas." Which I assume Jonathan Chait followed that up with, he is actually a radical and a terrorist, and here is why. Okay? I suspect that article that he wrote follows it up with, no, he is actually a radical. He is actually dangerous.
See, he does a really good job at this. So he didn't even read the article. I don't even know if he brought it up on screen. He's got a guy who's clipped parts of the article for him. And then this guy here. So Hasan has watched, he's looked at the tweet on stream. I don't know if they link it ever in his chat. Maybe that's too on the nose. But he reads this guy who has linked to the author. He's tagged the author. And then he's got pictures of the article for things that he wants to criticize.
It's continued New York Mag's tradition of not, it's still misspelling. Just want help, which I assume Jonathan Chait followed that up with, he is actually I suspect he is actually himself has followed the DSA's militant line.
Okay, he's got the archive brought up because he can't.
You know, he's in support of, yep, here it is. Yet Piker himself has followed the DSA's militant line, repeatedly praising authoritarian regimes such as China's, Cuba's, and Russia's, as well as terrorist groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah.
Mondoweiss? Ooh, that's a... Damn, this is what I mean when I say I'm like far behind, bro, for these people compared to what this audience is. Like this guy is bringing up the, yeah, here's the archive for the article. These guys are linking specific parts.
He has said that his close existing model for an ideal society is China, which does not have progressive social values or especially generous welfare state, but does have a communist ruling party. I like that there is no nuance afforded to this analysis. especially considering that in that interview, I described the many criticisms that I have. I have never praised Russia, by the way. It's ironic that they say it.
It's just like a Trumple, right? With the way that he speaks here, right? I like how they say that I support MAGA when people ignore all of my criticisms of Trump. All of my criticism of Trump. There are times, there's a weird thing, I don't know how to explain it, but like there are times when you have to have very nuanced questions to figure out what a person believes, and then there are times when you have to cash it out in a very simple question, right? So for the MAGA people, you say that you disagree with Trump's foreign policy. Well, what do you mean by that? Sometimes you got to get into the weeds on that. Somebody might say, I actually am super against the war in Iran and all that. It's like, well, why? Because I know that the Jews are controlling the United States. Oh, okay. So you're kind of, okay. But it's not because you were like, say, to the left of Trump on foreign policy. You're like crazy further off even into the more right area for the foreign policy, right? So sometimes you've got to go like kind of nuanced to figure out what exactly a person believes. But other times you have to distill it into a simple question like, oh, so you do agree that Trump has been bad on spending. He's been bad on wars. He's been bad on trying to balance the budget. All this. Yeah. Okay, wait. So knowing all this now, would you have voted for Kamala over Trump? Oh, you still would support Trump. Gotcha. So everything you just said is irrelevant. It doesn't fucking mean a thing because you'd still vote for Trump at the end of the day. And you could try to tease that apart in several different ways. Well, it doesn't mean I support every single thing, but it doesn't matter. You'd still vote for him. At the end of the day, you don't choose every single policy that a person does. We don't vote by referendum on every single action the executive takes. You have to support a person in office. And if you're saying that these two things are the most important things and you're saying this guy's fucked up on him, then why the fuck would you still support him in an election over the other party? You really think they'd be worse, even though we've seen that he fucked up horribly and the last admin didn't? Like, so...
That doesn't really matter. It's bullshit, but nobody gives a fuck, right? And as far as the interview that I did, where I said the closest existing version, as far as the economy goes, the closest existing version of what I would like, as far as like responsive politics, as far as a centrally planned economy, would be the Chinese system. And the results speak for themselves. 800 million people lifted out of extreme poverty, unbelievable levels of rural development that has taken shape in China. That is what I would love to see in the United States of America. But there are certain concepts.
We don't have people in America that are still subsistence farming to lift out of poverty. What are you talking about? It's like saying, I can tell that this guy, he's not training his athletes well. Well, why is that? Because this other guy who trains his athletes on average grew like 8 inches in the season. And it's like, bro, this guy coaches 8th grade basketball. Of course they're growing. They're kids. You can't grow adult. What are you talking about?
In the Western world that I grew up with, that I maintain, is profoundly important. Due process, free speech, and things of that nature are very important to me personally, right? I'm glad you're clarifying this.
You got your devices. You got your fucking phones taken from you because they thought you were harassed, because they thought you were making fun of. It wasn't even the current leader. It wasn't even Xi Jinping. It wasn't just fucking Mao Zedong or whatever.
When the police showed up, they thought, so that thing that we went to, okay? The flag raising.
This is the most, if I was to ever deport this guy from the country because I was dictator for a day, it would be for this clip. This is one of the most dangerous, but the journalists that exist today, everybody that exists in our media environment today has been spoiled by being in a liberal government for a long time, and they haven't had to deal with like extremists, which to some extent is good. We shouldn't have this kind of shit. This is one of the worst clips that Hasan has ever done, but people don't even understand. Even the average American probably doesn't understand why it's bad, and so the average journalist doesn't understand why it's bad, and they won't even talk to him about it. But
whenever the police showed up, they thought, so that thing that we went to, okay? The flag raising ceremony is not in focus. Hold on, I'm gonna fix it.
Was it at Tiananmen Square where they went? Was that one of the reasons?
It's not a thing that white people normally go to, right? It's not normally something that like white people attend, right? And I assume that they are probably extra attentive and extra careful about people coming to do some fuck shit. Like, there's a reason why, for example, there were Chinese nationals on each other's backs, right? But I knew that like if we did it, we would get called out by cops. Because like by and large, especially like the government is aware of like how they are perceived, or how much like anti-Chinese propaganda exists out there. And I think the older people are also aware of it as well. But I think the younger populations in China are, ironically enough, less aware. Like the younger normies are less aware of the animosity that exists, which shouldn't exist at all, obviously, but unfortunately does. And it's almost entirely one-sided, entirely designed by America. But yeah, we're white. So as foreigners in China at this like national event rather than an international one, where as you guys noticed, like they didn't have any like foreigners there at all. He thought he saw something on the phone.
Saw what?
He thought he saw something on the phone. Like he thought we were like making a mockery. You know what I mean?
Oh, mocking a dead leader? This is the country you want to take notes from because they thought you were mocking a dead leader?
Realized that we were swagged out white boys who love China. Are you being careful with your words? No, I'm just telling you like it is. Like they thought we were, they were being extra attentive to make sure that, you know, no one is making fun of Mao or anything like that, or the ceremony.
Like, that's a crazy, as an American, spoiled American liberal, whatever the fuck I am, anybody in the Western world, right? They thought we were making fun of Mao. They thought that we were making fun of Mao.
Roger, you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Look, yeah. 这是什么呀？他录的视频。你是他导游？没有。哦，Where's the film? 大方。Okay. 我是他导游啊。他就过来招待一下。是啊，你是导游啊？问问他那个，问问他那刚直播那什么东西。让他拿出来，给我看。
OK， 要看直播的东西是吗？
对，我看一眼刚你那 photo。
So you want to see the photo?
Oh, I didn't take a photo.
就刚才他录那个，让他找出来。
So have you record anything?
No, not yet.
No, 我都看见了。
Yeah, he said he saw.
直播还是什么呀？
Oh, I was holding the camera out, but I didn't do anything yet.
个手机放那个背景图。
对，拿手机弄一背景，那是什么东西？把它打出来。
Still recording?
刚才那个背景。
So if you want to see the background of your.
Of my phone?
Yeah.
Sure.
Or like a live show or.
Other phone.
Oh.
Hey, notice how when he's in China, notice how this pussy-ass bitch has nothing to do with Islam or being Muslim. I wonder why. I wonder why when he's in China, he's a white boy American and has nothing to do with being Muslim, nothing to do with Islam. What a pussy-ass bitch, by the way.
Another.
Unbelievable.
Good on there, but my internet is not
unbelievable that he simps for these people. Unreal.
We're just waiting for Will to get out of the bathroom now.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if there's a line to the bathroom.
Unfucking believable. He defends this. That's what this is in reference to.
And that's what they were. That's what it was. It's normal for police to take close look at foreigners to make sure that white people don't do stupid shit. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's a cultural difference, and also they just don't want anyone to pull a fucking Logan Paul or anything like that. How was it resolved? What do you mean? We just like talk to him. We just were like, no, that's not, you know, we're not doing that at all. We're just here to experience the event.
Also, I know a lot of people don't understand this, okay? And if you're from one of these countries, I'm sure you fucking hate it. But when Pokey, dipshit, or Hasan fucking retard, when rich people from the West go to these countries to show you how cool they are, it has nothing to do with that country, okay? You have no concept of what it's like for an average person when you are an ultra-wealthy person getting an all-expenses-paid trip, or you just have all your fucking money and you go and visit. I can go to any country in the world and show you how awesome it is because I'm rich, right? Oh, look at this awesome Somali vacation where I go to visit this fucking mansion. I could go visit fucking Corantos, or we could go to fucking Argentina. We could go to fucking India. You could go to China. You could go to any country in the world with that much money and have an awesome, like, crazy fucking trip. And look at how awesome this place is. And to pretend like that's some representative of the country, that this is like an actual experience, an authentic experience, it's so fucking stupid. God, I hate this. I hate these people so much.
You know, I told you would end up in jail. You got lucky this time. Yeah, okay, calm down. That's not. You're being ridiculous. This is actually one of the things that I want to show Americans in general, because like people have this like false assertion, false notion that it's people have this like false notion that it's like they will arrest you for a meme or whatever. It's not like that at all. Okay, calm down. It's funny because like I've dealt with cops.
They literally were checking you for an arrestable meme. Why do you think they were checking your phone? What, they thought you were building bombs? What do you think they were looking for?
At this point, all around the world, as you guys know. So as far as like cops that I've dealt with all around the world, you know, European cops in France, American cops, just European cops in other European countries, and even Japanese cops as well, I will say that it's not even remotely up there. The further west you go, the worse cops get, the more aggressive they get. In other European countries, and even Japanese cops as well. And so as far as like cops that I've dealt with all around the world, you know, European cops in France, American cops, just European cops in other European countries, and even Japanese cops as well, I will say that it's not even remotely up there.
Remember why he's saying this? Fuck, somebody said this. Was it the one lady that we listened to? I need to adopt a better term. I don't like first world anymore because first world sounds like rich and third world sounds like poor. Instead of like first and second world was the delineation of capitalist liberal countries on the U.S. side versus Soviet countries on the Soviet side, and then the third world was like were the unaligned nations, right? Especially Africa or whatever, but the unaligned states. But like, and then so instead of first world now, sometimes we'll say Western world. But it's not really like Western world. Like we would probably throw Saudi Arabia in there. They're very close to the United States. Israel, obviously, is that a Western country. Japan, yes. Australia, New Zealand, yes. But all that to say, because I'll say Western world or first world, there's a reason why Hasan throws Japan out there. I'm surprised he didn't mention South Korean cops too, is because he has to bucket all of the first world Western style nations. All of them are together and all of them are evil. This is campism, right? That's why he brings up Japan. Oh yeah, like Japanese cops are way worse than Chinese. When the fuck have you ever been stopped by a fucking Japanese cop? Has he even been to Japan? Has he? I'm sure he went to Tokyo or something or whatever, right? Like that's such a, but that's why he threw that in there.
European cops in France, American cops, just European cops in other European countries, and even Japanese cops as well. I will say that it's not.
Yeah, he did go 3 times. Okay, yeah. Has he been stopped by Japanese cops that have harassed him?
Not even remotely up there. The further west you go, the worse cops get, the more aggressive they get. America being the worst one out of all of them.
It's just such a insane. Oh, I hate this motherfucker so much.
I clarified this in that interview. Okay? I want our spending priorities to be centered around the needs of the working class. I want to improve the working class material conditions.
Yep, go back to that.
These guys know, or many of them don't even know, but ultimately none of them care. Especially when he says he's praised authoritarian regimes such as China's, Cuba's, and Russia's. Like, what do you mean I've praised Russia? I have not praised Russia. I don't think the Russian kleptocracy led by former KGB agent.
When the talking points, especially for modern Russia, and it's not 100% incorrect, but especially when Yeltsin was the leader, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the reason why Russia got fucked was because capitalists came in and they looted the country. And it's not 100% incorrect. For instance, Constantine's family made their exorbitant wealth by looting the country. That's why Constantine's family was prosecuted in Russia and then fled to the UK with all the fucking money that his father stole. And that's where his riches come from. Now, when you listen to Constantine describe this in interviews, I think the word he uses was, my dad made money in the heyday after the fall of the Soviet Union. Probably means they were part of some klepto, oligarchical, whatever the fuck shit that was looting and pillaging and stealing money or whatever. But that's how Constantine's family made their money before they fled to the West. But they'll blame all the modern problems on capitalism. Or like a few bad apples, basically. Is Pokemon on that tanky shit too? No, they're just too spineless because they're cloud obsessed, and they're too retarded, so they see pretty buildings or whatever, and then they're too friend fucked, so they hear Hasan say a thing and then they believe it. They're too stupid to engage with the propaganda outright, so then they fall for it and then they become unknowing proliferators of it. I don't know if you would call this a tier 3 person. Like tier 1 is like Hasan knows he's lying about everything. A tier 2 is like a believer in the propaganda and then they spread it. And then I would say you have like these tier 3s, which are like channels that propaganda carries along, but they're not even really doing like expressly political stuff, I guess. I don't know if you would say that. Dude, I wanted to kill what was when Pokey was like, in China, they have this thing where you can pay people to take. They have a thing for everything. They have these people where you can pay them to show up and take pictures of you, and it's insane. Oh my god! It's this. The walled world. Not a joke, these areas are indeed all surrounded by sorts of walls. Oh. Is this supposed to be like... I don't know if this is supposed to be shitting on the walled people or what. Oh, probably, I guess, yeah. But you can see, this is the campus map, actually. If you open a map like this, you'll see... Wait. No, wait, hold on. They're missing one big meme. Who knows it? They're missing one big meme. Big meme. Who are they missing? They're missing some of these Gulf states, but India. I think the India hate is going to be a big meme coming up. But we don't. India's just for some reason. I don't know if it's because they do. I don't actually know why. I don't know why. But India doesn't have the same like penetration into the Western world as like a country. Like they obviously they have their H-1Bs and everybody that come over, get educated and work and everything. But they don't seem to have the same presence. It doesn't feel like it as China does. I don't know why. I'm not sure.
It's turned oligarchs as a consequence of the shock doctrine deployed, the liberalization that destroyed.
There it is.
The post-USSR Russia.
Russia was great, and then it was liberalized. Oh, it was liberalized. You'll always hear people like this shit on like Gorbachev and stuff because some people like commies will view him as a traitor. Oh, you're trying to liberalize the country. Keep in mind that all of these like commie fuck countries that ended up eventually kind of like clawing their way back into the world and succeeding and lifting so many other people out of poverty was because of the liberalization of their economy and trade and everything else. That was like literally the reason why. But
deployed the liberalization that destroyed the post-USSR Russia. I've never showered it with praise. Why the fuck would I do that?
Very careful with his words there. Good job.
They think the Crimea River clip is Russian exceptionalism. I know, it's so funny. Would they always be like, oh, you said Crimea River. It's like, big dog. Big dog. My position on this, albeit sometimes a humorous quip where I say Crimea belongs to the Tatars, and therefore it's Turkish territory first and foremost.
That's what you said, dog? Really? Really? Really?
Is utterly immaterial to what has already taken place. Okay? And it's always people who are pro greater Israel project that try to go, oh, it's hypocritical. You think I have an ownership stake in the same way that you feel an ownership stake in the greater Israel project? You think I have an ownership stake in Russian irredentism? I don't.
I don't even know that word.
I just want there to be a diplomatic process seen through so that more and more Ukrainians are not fucking dying.
Uh-huh.
That's been my consistent position since day one. It's the same.
Always the talking point. This would be another thing where it would be cool, and I understand for American journalists, I guess maybe they're too busy fucking kids on Epstein's Island, or maybe once you turn like 45 in America, you can't read anymore, and you don't know how to research anything or whatever, and your parents didn't teach you anything at all growing up, so you're just like, I don't know, like fucking strung out on opiates on mainstream media. You can't fucking learn a single fucking thing in your entire fucking life. Why has nobody ever asked any of these tanky fucks to reconcile their positions on Ukraine, Russia with Israel, Palestine? Why should Ukraine stop fighting? Well, I just hate seeing Ukrainians die all day. Oh, but that doesn't apply to Palestine? Well, no. That's different. Why? What? Ukrainians have a chance of actually saving their country. Yeah? Okay, sure. More than Palestinians do, probably. Okay, yeah, I guess. Right? Ukrainians have a real established border that was not only internationally recognized, Russia even recognized it, right? The Palestinians don't really yet, right? Well, I'm sure, but I mean, well, the PLO, okay, sure, yeah, right? Like, we know what a peaceful resolution would look like to the Russia-Ukraine war, right? Russia leaves, right? Well, yeah, I guess, okay. Do we even know what a resolution would look like to Israel-Palestine? Well, no, I guess not, right? There's nothing. There's no questions ever asking these people to reconcile their positions on, between Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Palestine. Because all the same arguments that these people will use for why Ukraine should surrender immediately are never applied to the Palestinians. But there's a reason why. It's because Ukraine, you can map everything on. Hasan kind of sort of says it. In some ways, he can be very honest, and in other ways, he's not. Where's the clip of Hasan saying, if you ever want to find out, he's like joking when he says it, but it's like true. It's like the gaslighting tactic I mentioned earlier, where Hasan is like, listen, find out like what the U.S. State Department's position is on something, and then take the opposite, and you're probably going to be okay. And that's unironically his position, right? Because Ukraine surrendering would be beneficial for Russia, but it's not about it being beneficial for Russia. It's about it being detrimental to the West, you know? And then it's good. But Palestine, you know, and Israel resolving their issues would be horrible. So
same for Israel.
They have answers to all of those questions. I promise you they don't. Not if they're talking to somebody that knows the history of both the places. They might have a surface level quip that they could give, but there is no good answer to that. There's no way that they have an answer to that.
And the IOF against Hamas, where I've demanded a ceasefire over and over again. And it's the same thing that I've demanded.
The first thing that the Ukraine-Russia war you don't understand is that the territory that Russia invaded actually defected. That is true. You mean the one where you had the little green men walking around doing polls of the population, and then they left it up to that one referendum where they said, if you want, you can vote to leave the country right now, or we can suspend your fucking elected people, and then in like a year you guys will end up leaving and joining Russia? True. You know, you can immediately tell that you are that's a bullshit, retarded fuck Russian talking point. Do you know how you can immediately tell that? Why the fuck would you ever allow a state to simply take a poll and defect from their country? What? You understand how fucking retarded that is? Like, on its face, like, hey, did you hear what happened yesterday? What? Texas voted to leave the union. That's crazy. I wonder if there's any points in U.S. history where somebody tried to leave the union before. What was their response to that? Like you can just vote yourself out of a country? Get the fuck out of here, you fucking retard.
In the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the illegal invasion of Ukraine, people holding on to Crimea as this like a choke point, as this like pivot point, are holding on to nothing. It's so strange to me. Anyway. Putin bat ticker required. A Ukrainian just got charged for blowing up Nord Stream pipeline by a German court. Yeah, I don't even think that was one random Ukrainian that did that. That's crazy.
What does he mean by that?
There's never been a moment where I've justified the illegal and immoral invasion of Ukraine. Not once. And it's so funny that people still run this lie over and over again. Yeah. Take it up with Biden. Take it up with Obama. They were the ones who also did not choose to advance the defense of Crimea and instead recognized Sevastopol as an existing Russian military base, which it was, and thought that the Crimean annexation and the way that they dealt with it, which was without a single shot fired, was objectively very different than the current Russian invasion and occupation.
Sevastopol was a Russian leased base, true. So would he be okay with us invading? By that logic, can we invade Cuba? Isn't Guantanamo Bay in all the way the eastern part of Cuba? I guess he would be cool with that because we already have a base there anyway. Like, is he using that language deliberately? Like, does he just think it is legal? Yes. This is why I'm not calling him stupid anymore. I think he's very, very, very he's very deliberate with his language, or at least he has been over the last year. I feel like his intentional propaganda, like hardcore, like serious propaganda, has ramped up significantly in the past year, and he uses all the language very, very, very deliberately. There aren't accidental words. There's a reason why he always says working class material conditions, the natural, not the natural tensions. I always say the tensions. It's not. There's another word that you use for this. Between the working class and the whatever. He says, he said that agitprop. He even said the agitprop term once, which was crazy. Oh, the natural contradictions or whatever he'll say. The point is to just introduce the language so that people get kind of normalized to it without even knowing what it means, and then eventually you can start to slip in definitions for it later on, but you've already normalized the language. And the nice thing too about that, I don't know how much of this is, I'm sure there are books written on this somewhere. I'm just too lazy to look, so I just learned it all. As I live through it, and I'm horrified in real time. If you slowly introduce the language, and then the language is introduced in kind of these non-threatening ways, and then you slip in definitions later. When people try to fight against the terms, so many people in society are probably going to be used to hearing these words in non-threatening ways that when you try to fight against it, you're going to feel it's going to feel like you're fear-mongering, basically. Is my guess. I don't know if that's a strategy or not. I guess we'll see as it plays out and my country turns into a shithole, and not like it's not already.
Of Eastern Ukraine. If we can't make these distinctions, then we're being ridiculous.
The meme is that he's watching your streams and picking up the strategies you recommend, but wields it for his side. He's the strongest DGGer. That would probably mind fuck me. I would actually break completely and have a psychotic break. If I found out that my life was like Metal Gear Solid 1, I guess, right? Where, in Metal Gear Solid 1, a secret agent breaks into a base in Alaska or some shit, and there's nuclear missiles kind of or something, or a giant robot that's armed and it's going to go live, and the only way to disarm it is to enter the code to disarm it a second time. But then you find out during the game that actually they didn't know the code, and you brought the code in, and you managed to take the code, and then when you entered it for the first time to activate it. So you've actually activated Metal Gear. If that was me and Hasan, oh shit. That's Metal Gear Solid 2, not 1. Don't ever try to correct me on Metal Gear Solid lore, you uneducated fuck. That's Metal Gear Solid 1, you fucking piece of shit. Stop.
You absolutely did support Russia and defend its invasion. You did it when I made it up.
Why does he even give a fuck about the Nord Stream? He always uses it for a point of emphasis, but the war itself is too white to care about. Because, I mean, like, the Nord Stream Pipeline 2 bombing was, I mean, it was kind of a terrorist attack on, related to energy stuff for Europe, which Europeans get really mad about. It's just a way to show that, like, Ukrainians are unhinged. Now, supposedly, the last big article I read on this, which admittedly was like a year and a half or 2 years ago, I think, I don't know. Supposedly, Zelensky and the top brass, I guess, in the Ukrainian military didn't know anything about that attack, and it was done by some sect of, like, kind of radical Ukrainians. I don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, if the military people in Ukraine knew about it, obviously you wouldn't want Europe to know that they knew about it because it kind of makes you look bad. But also, I'm not 100% sure if like Zelensky or the people in charge would order an attack like that, because obviously if it gets discovered, it makes you look really bad in Europe. But also because the Nord Stream 2 wasn't even moving any energy at that point. I don't think it ever was moving any energy. So, like, why would you do a terrorist attack on a thing that's not moving any energy that could have such a huge backfire if people discovered it was you? Like, I don't know what I just don't know what the point would be. But I am, not to say one way or another, I'm not sure.
My head, I know. People will still push that line. Why is Dylan Burns mad at you? Because
I will say, though, it is far more justifiable to bomb a pipe in the ocean than it is for Hamas to fly in on gliders and to mass murder and rape Jewish people. Just putting that out there, you know. Hot take, I know. Hot take, I know, but
I think for a lot of these guys, some of them are very passionate and it's understandable. Okay. But for a lot of these guys, it's a way to advance their own personal grievances. Maybe I made them feel small. Maybe I made them feel silly. Who gives a shit at the end of the day? But that's what.
It's still gray that Germany wants to prosecute the dude that did it. There's arrests and indictments that allege it was 100% Ukrainian intelligence according to it. Yeah, I just don't know how high up it goes, because the article that I read at the time, there's a big article about this, alleged that the top people didn't know about it. There was some Ukrainian stuff, though, because it was like, wasn't it like 5 people that went in on a ship with supplies? Like, this wasn't just, I'm sorry if it sounded like it was misleading with what I said. It wasn't just like 5 random Ukrainians. Like, these were people with training that knew what they were doing, that had some level of like coordination and intelligence. But the original claim was that it just didn't make it all the way up to the top in the Ukrainian military infrastructure. So like Zelensky and like top military brass wouldn't have known about it. I don't know if that's true or not. Like I said, I don't know, but yeah. Okay, Destiny, Metal Gear Solid 2 lore question. Why does Raiden get irrationally upset with Emma Emmerich when she reveals she has the level 5 key card? Why does Raiden get upset at Emma? I don't know. Damn, what? For what? Give me one more hint. Even in Moscow, the Ukrainians are slowly targeting infrastructure, not going into border Russian villages and raping grandmas because the resistance isn't perfect. Yeah, and raping young people too. It's like if the CIA went rogue in America, the top brass may not know. Well, CIA, it wouldn't be like the CIA. It would be like a whole section of the CIA like doing a thing, you know? Destiny, most of your content and liberal content in general consists of breaking down political strategies, determining who is lying, and prescribing what you think needs to happen moving forward. Everyone else's content consists of actually using the identified strategies and lying. Well, I know, but I don't even want to do that. I actually don't find that this whole like rhetoric analysis and propaganda analysis is not what I think I do excel in it, unfortunately, just because I've lived in the environment for so long, so I can see it and identify it really easily. But I would prefer to just have like the really heavy research debatey streams. Like, honestly, that one guy, even though I disagree with him a lot, there was I think he was a Palestinian American. What was the name of the guy that came in a lot and debated us during the Israel-Palestine arc? Like, that stuff was way more entertaining to me. Like, going through and reading the communications between, you know, how much of the Clinton parameters did Arafat accept versus the Israeli delegation that type of stuff is more entertaining. It's drier, obviously, but oh yeah, Axel, yeah. Whatever.
What it is. There are a lot of content creators who will use like existing global conflict where hundreds of thousands of people are dying to advance their own personal interests. Also, I am objectively anti-NATO, so I think that's probably part of the reason why many of these guys are pro-NATO. I see NATO as an extension of American force projection capabilities, as an expansion of an extension of American empire. Which, by the way, it's not just my assessment. Mark Rutte has openly admitted that that is precisely what NATO is. Right? I'm in favor.
No, NATO is a defensive alliance. Mark has not said anything different. But okay, Chief.
Of diplomacy. So I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people will just like use anything and everything they can, because having a reasonable argument, having a reasonable conversation around.
I also wonder how much of like the political strategy is like time really just a fucking flat circle or whatever is literally just lifted from the from everything in the past. Like, is all propaganda the same? So one of the reasons why the far right authoritarians, not just the Nazis, remember the Nazi Party was the one that ended up winning out in Germany, but there were like 5 other far right parties that were all vying for power. One of the legitimate fears across Europe, and it was legitimate, was that there would be communist uprisings in every single country after it happened to the czars in Russia. The people legitimately had a fear of that. And the people in Russia were helping to coordinate propaganda in other countries. Like, that was an expressed goal of that of the newly upcoming fucking, I don't know what they call themselves initially after Lenin or whatever. They immediately called themselves communists or whatever, but of that regime, they did want to do that. And they did give strategies to other nations and other communist groups or whatever on how they could infiltrate society and how they could use the fucking, liberal infrastructure or whatever bullshit to effect their like communist overthrows. They also did a lot. They gave a lot of direction and coaching to the Middle East as well, because the Soviets were on the other side of the Israelis for, I don't know, at least 40 years in the early existence of that country. And now, I mean, like Russia and China, I don't know how much China, but I know like Russia obviously assists and gives direction to some extent to, I mean, we saw it with Tenet Media in a direct way. You make communists sound like a sinister force? They are. They are a sinister force. They are. That's how they operate. They operate in a subversive way in other countries. Yeah, of course. That's why they also use like a lot of, they're very, very good. Fuck, maybe Orwell. Maybe this is why 1984 was, fuck, I guess that guy would know, huh? They're very good about like their use of language. Because a lot of words are hard to call out in English because they kind of sound good. But they're very communist loaded and people don't know. So anytime you hear somebody say like revolutionary potential, the working class, these are all like, if you've been in these spaces and you've heard them, these are commie terms. You know 100%. If somebody starts talking about like we need to have like we need a revolution in America. We need to exploit the revolutionary potential of the work. These are communist terms every single time. So you have some kind of like agitprop going on. You've got some kind of subversive agenda going on here. All of these words are like very explicit and by design used. But like in ordinary English, well, I mean, what's wrong with revolutionary things, right? Like, didn't he call his movement like Our Revolution? And I want to say I don't think Bernie was trying to do anything weird by that. I don't think he was. Like, I think Bernie was an actual like bog standard sock dem, I think. But he has the background to know as well, so I don't know, whatever. But
what NATO is doing and what NATO has done is obviously not going to be favorable for a lot of people. I think it's far more defensive.
Okay, not to derail, but I need to know if you're a fake Metal Gear Solid fan. What is the best game? If you say 3 or 5, then I know you can disregard your opinion. What's better than 3? Are you going to say 1? You can't say 2 because nobody says 2, and there's no way you...